Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Code to be a Java Programmer. Today is day 14 of our coding journey. In today's session, we'll dive into the for loop in Java. The for loop is one of the most commonly used control flow statements for iterating a block of code a specific number of times. Let's get started. Okay, so yesterday we saw about do while. Today we're gonna have a look at a for loop. So now let me remove this do. Let's copy this y. Let's cut this y and let's add it here. Okay. Let me remove this semicolon here too. So let's see, have a look at the structure of this while and then we'll move on to for loop. So here we are initializing it. We are initializing the value of I and then we are providing it with a specific condition followed by an iteration, right? So the same thing goes here in for loop too, but how it be like let me give the initialization here inside this parenthesis where we have specified the condition, and let me also take this incremental updation part here and add this here. Okay, so inside the same parenthesis we have added the initialization condition and updation part. But what's the problem here is while doesn't support this syntax in Java. So we have this for loop which supports this. So what you have to observe here is inside parentheses we are not having the same statement, we are having the three different statements, because if you observe we have semicolon which is separated by each of these initialization, condition and the updation part. So these are three different statements which is inside the parentheses of for loop. Okay, so when we execute it, let's see. So when I is 3, initially I will be 3 and it checks this condition, I is less than or equal to 4, it goes and again it comes here and then the I value gets incremented, it prints, and so for the first iteration the I value doesn't get incremented. Now let's see. Yes, SA3, SA4. Now since we have I is equal to 3, it doesn't get incremented here itself. Only for the first iteration, it doesn't check the updation part. It just goes and executes the block of code which is inside the for loop. And only from the next iteration, it just goes there, checks the condition, and then updates whatever is given there. So this is how the for loop works. Now let me give an example of this for loop. Let me say factorial. Hope you must have known about factorial, right? Factorial. Now what is basically a factorial? Factorial is nothing but uh, it is the product of the numbers from its reverse counting or listing of values in the natural set of numbers. Let me say how the factorial of 3 works. Now the factorial of 3 is 6. Now how it is 6? Because 3 into 2 into 1. This gives 6. So this is how the factorial works. Now what if I ask the factorial of 4? So 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, which gives 4 3s are 12, 12 2s are 24. So the factorial of 24 is 24. This is how the factorial works. Now let us try how to print the factorial numbers. Okay, using this for loop. Now let me remove this for. Now in order to find the number, now for which number we have to find this for that, let me give some value. Let me give it as number, and then for fact let me give it as 1, because only from 1 it is get multiplying, right? 1 2 3 4 5. So we need an initial value for int I is equal to 1. Okay, so from 1 it starts, semicolon, condition. So since we have given the number, it must include it, right? Number, and then it should get incremented. Now open the curly braces. Now how this works, now 1, then again 1 into 2, again 1 into 2, again the 2 into 3. So this is how the flow must go. So factorial, sorry, we have given the name as fact into I. Okay, so how it goes, now it checks for I is equal to 1. So it goes here, since 1 fact is equal to 1, 1 into 1 is 1, it gets stored in the fact. Again its I value gets incremented 2. Now 1 into 2 is 2, fact it gets stored in the fact. I is equal to, then it gets updated into 3. 3 into 2 is 6, 6 gets stored, then I value gets incremented to 4. Now 6 into 4 is 24, again fact is 4. Now number 5, it checks for the condition, 5 is also involved, so 24 into 5 we get a value, it gets stored in the fact. Now the number gets incremented, so it checks for the condition, since 6 is greater than number, the assigned number here, it doesn't print. Now let me give Control S. Now let us print the factorial of number of 5, or anything which we give it there, is fact. Okay, so add a semicolon here, Control S, now run. The factorial of 5 is 120. Yes, so that's correct. Now this is how the factorial works. Now let me change a number here, let me give 3, Control S. The factorial of 3 is 6. That's perfect. Now one more thing also what I needed to say is, it's not compulsory that you have to add the initialization here. You can also have this I is equal to 1 part here, but you're supposed to have that semicolon. Okay, now let me give Control S and let's see. That's perfect. So you're not, it's not a compulsory that you have to give the initialization value and the updation value inside the parentheses of for loop. It's according to your own way of coding it, but generally this is the syntax for loop. So it would be nice if you follow it. That's what I would suggest. Okay. Okay, so instead of doing it, let's also try another example of using for loop inside a for loop. And let me remove this too. And less than or equal to day. Let me give the day as int day is equal to 1. I min plus plus. Okay, open. Okay. Five. Okay, I need it to print the 5 days. System dot out dot print ln. Let it give as day and I value. Okay. Now inside this, I have to give an initialization here. Okay. So let me also give another for loop in for int j is equal to 1. For okay, so inside j we let us have be printing what to say, hours. So for each day he or she has to work for 2 hours. So let me give it as hours. So j greater than or equal to hours and j must get printed. Hours and plus j. Now let's see what our output is. Shows error because I added 2 semicolon here. Let's give Control S. Yes. Day 1. Here I am supposed to give println. Yes, perfect. For day 1 we work hours 1, hour 2. Day 2 we work hours 1, hours 2. And this is how this goes. So this is an example of nested loop where we have a for loop inside a for loop. So that's all for today. That's all for day 14. Today we covered the for loop in Java, which is a powerful tool for iterating over a range of values. Spend some time practicing with different conditions and see how you can use for loops in your programs. Tomorrow we'll continue with more advanced Java topics. Thank you for joining me on day 14 of Let's Code to be a Java Programmer. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified about our daily coding sessions. See you tomorrow for day 15. Happy coding!